Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure.
Now I can.
Hey, Cal.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, I'm just curious, having nothing to do with this topic or the other topic or any of our chatter. Do you know Catherine Mankiewicz?
Yes, she
Okay.
does. She went to Rochester College, or still
Yep.
goes, and she's in the nursing program. And she sometimes does photography for the Christian Manifesto. And she did worship for Woodside for the album that just came out.
Okay, so yeah, I didn't know because I have gotten to know her over the last couple of months because I am a service producer at Woodside, and she is a frequent on-stage presence. And
Yes.
I noticed on her Facebook page under work it mentioned the Christian Manifesto, so I didn't know exactly
Yeah.
what that entailed.
She's done
Okay.
she's done some photography for us, which has been pretty cool. She's
Okay.
actually really
Cool.
good at it too. But that's not where her main giftings lie. She is a fantastic singer. Oh my gosh, I love her voice. Okay, so I think I'm gonna start off the stories for this week. We all have our news stories, our fun. Okay, so this is a thing. This is a thing. I almost thought I had to check and see if I was reading The Onion at first. But I was not reading The Onion. Unfortunately, I was reading PBS. And apparently, there is a Confederate Memorial Day. There is a Confederate Memorial Day in several southern states. Now, I lived in the South, and I never heard of anything like this. Now, I saw Confederate flags on more cars than I'd like to admit, and I'm always a little weirded out when I see those kind of flags out here as well. But there is a Confederate Memorial Day where they actually close government offices, and I guess this year in Alabama, they decided not to close the courthouse in observance of Confederate Memorial Day, and instead they closed on Good Friday because they would get less problems that way, and there's less demands for government services on Good Friday anyway. But apparently people were telling them that they ought to be ashamed of themselves for staying open on Confederate Memorial Day. I was like, wow. And now there's no official Confederate Memorial Day, so it falls differently in different states, and some commemorate the birth of Jefferson Davis, which I think is the most racist of them, because he was the president of the Confederacy, let's be honest, which was also, if I'm not mistaken, that's celebrated, let me see, there's Confederate Heroes Day on January 19th in Texas. And for those of you who pay attention to what day that is, that's also Martin Luther King Day. So apparently Texas ain't having no Martin Luther King Day. They're having Confederate Heroes Day.
Wow.
They have sometimes it falls on April 26th to commemorate the death of Stonewall Jackson, or May 10th to honor the birth of Jefferson Davis.
It's not even a real holiday, but it's sometimes this date and sometimes another. Like, come on, how is
Oh wait,
that?
no, hold on, I read those dates wrong. Confederacy's surrender to Sherman on April 26th, the death of Stonewall Jackson on May 10th, or the birthday of Confederate President Jefferson Davis on June 3rd. This year, Texas celebrated Confederate Heroes Day on January 19th. That also happened to be Martin Luther King Day. So, news that you would never think was real, right there, Confederate Heroes Day. I'm going to see how much traction I can get in the African American community to get Confederate Heroes Day observed in the North. I'm going to try to get people in Detroit next year, black people in Detroit, to try to get Confederate Heroes Day. Remember, that's my. And for those of you who are listening who think I sound white, I am in fact black. Just so you know.
Wait.
So they
Wait, what?
See the humor in the joke? Yes, I know, right? people listening all of a sudden are like, "Oh, thank God! I thought he was really going to do something stupid and racist, and offend an entire community." That's a joke. I'm not going to try to get my people to go for that. That's never going to happen. Anyhow, what do you guys got?
But Cal, didn't you know there was an entire platoon of black soldiers who fought for the Confederacy in the Civil War? Or so I keep hearing.
I also know that the Civil War was fought over states' rights, not over the issue of slavery. Even though the state right they were fighting for was to be able to move and transport their slaves as they saw fit. But that had nothing to do with slavery. It was a war of northern aggression. Yes. The South will rise again. And other asinine things that people say about the South. Anyhow, sorry, Southern listeners.
I did. I
think
do
we just
remember
lost all our Southern listeners.
our hundreds and hundreds of Southern listeners. I did look up Confederate Heroes Day. Apparently, that is Robert E. Lee's birthday. So
okay. Well, that makes it all better.
There is a certain irony to Robert E. Lee and Dr. King being born. Is that King's birthday? Is it the 19th? Is it the 20th? 19th, 20th, 21st?
19th.
19th. The same day, really. I guess if you're going to have a Confederate Heroes Day, if I had to pick, I imagine Robert E. Lee is the Confederate who offends me the least. So we might as well put it on that day.
Aren't you glad you don't have to pick, though? Aren't you glad?
Indeed. Indeed.
Hey, Kara, if you had to pick one of those four guys, who would you pick? You're white. You must have an opinion on this.
I don't want to. Don't make me.
All right, who's got the next story?
All right, I've got the silliest story of the night, I think, which is I was just scrolling through looking for something good to share, and I came across a story about a park in Hampton, Illinois, where they've been having a problem with joggers pooping on the jogging track that goes through the park, and they actually have a sign.
That is a real problem. I am a jogger, Kara. You have no idea how often I jog through human feces. It's epidemic.
I'm a jogger, and I know how much it gets my bowels moving to run. So like, the struggle is real, Calvin. So they.
Oh, hashtag first world jogger problems.
Yes. So they put a few signs along the jogging trail that says "Stop pooping on bike path."
I bet you it was a bunch of Confederate sympathizers. I bet you it was. It sounds like something they would do.
Yeah, those people.
Those people.
What
state was this?
What state was that? I will avoid jogging through it.
It was Illinois, Hampton, Illinois.
Okay, I will not. Sorry, Illinois.
That's so close, though. That's so sad.
That sounds like something Illinois would do as well. I mean, it sounds more Confederate, but definitely, when you were like, hey, it wasn't a southern state, I was like, yeah. If it was a northern state, it was probably Illinois.
Illinois, yeah. Well, see, in the article, they were saying that, they knew it definitely wasn't animal feces because there was always toilet paper on top of it. So
gives a whole new meaning to feel the Illinois.
Yeah. Abandoned wandering the countryside of Illinois.
Okay, so before they go out the door on their run, they're like, oh, gotta grab the toilet paper.
They've got toilet paper with them.
It's just good planning.
That's disgusting.
Wow, so they're planning to do that. Like, they're planning, like, I'm going to have to poop on the run.
Yeah, that's...
Oh, my gosh.
What do they do? How far off the road is this? Because I'm just thinking if cars are whizzing by while you're whizzing and pooping.
No, I think it's a jogging bike trail, so it's set back in the park. It's not on the road at all.
It must be, like, mountainy or woodsy or something, right? Like,
I assume it's Illinois, so probably not mountainy. Slight
so
hills.
if I'm jogging through Illinois, or I'm driving through Illinois, and I see someone running along with a roll of toilet paper in their hand, I will know what's about to go down, or what may have already gone down.
Immediately.
Do they only take a little bit, or do they take like a? I wonder if they take the whole roll.
If it were
Because
me,
you don't know what kind of bowel movement you're going to have. You could have like there's all types that you could have on the road. So
that's true. But you could also use leaves as a backup.
you could.
Have you ever
Anyway,
people?
we need to stop talking about this. I am grossing myself. As funny as it is to me, I'm grossing myself out talking about it. So,
People ask me all the time, why do you run on a treadmill, Kent? Why do you go to the gym? Why don't you run outside? It's obvious to me. I don't know why it's not obvious to you.
you know what, Ken? I doubt that was the first thing you did. Why do I run on a treadmill? Have you heard about people pooping? People poop on the trail.
Nope,
People poop on the trail.
Everywhere.
I don't feel like dealing with that.
I admit it didn't occur to me before this conversation, but I am interested. I will see. I will
Now you
say
have now you have another
seeing.
reason.
Wow.
I am interested to see if we can tie all of our stories back somehow to the Confederacy, because we are 2 for 2.
Okay, well that depends. What is your story, Ken?
Well, mine is I don't know how you're going to do it, but I encourage you to try. I just want to send out congratulations to South Glasgow University, who just opened the South Glasgow University Hospital, the largest critical care facility in Europe. It costs just shy of $1 billion. It has a movie theater, a roof garden. Each of the 1,100 beds in this hospital is a private room with a private bath. Linens are delivered to each room via an army of robots traveling through a network of underground tunnels. And here in America, we have Detroit Receiving Hospital, because we have the best healthcare system in the world and freedom.
It sounds like they're living pretty high off the hog, just like the Confederates were doing
Oh,
in the
so
South.
about the Confederates' socialized medicine.
It sounds like they're just
so
like
hard.
sounds just like the Confederates. It sounds like a Confederate hospital to me. Sounds like the type of hospital that they would build, probably using slave
Where
labor.
is this
I bet you 10 to 1.
Underground tunnels, underground railroad.
Oh, you're
I know,
right?
right?
I didn't even think
It's
of that.
all there. It's all
Where-
there.
Where's this hospital again?
Glasgow, Scotland.
Oh.
Yeah. That was a stretch there. I'm sorry for the stretch there, but
I will say,
close as
though,
I could get to the Confederacy.
And let me add this, because I was just reminded of it, and feel free to edit this out or keep it in. It's up to you. But I think you'll find it amusing.
Okay, without knowing what you're going to say, I promise I will keep it in.
When I was in 12th grade, there was I remember this like it was yesterday. A kid in my U.S. history class it was 11th grade. Sorry, when I was in 11th grade, a kid in my U.S. history class answered the following question. Here's the question that was on the exam. What was the name in 1800s America? In 1800s America, what was the name of the network of covert passageways and hiding spots to move American slaves from the south to the north? And he answered Soul Train.
Oh, yes!
Wow.
Yes! That story. Oh, that story beats my story. My day job, I give tours of the city of Detroit to people, and Detroit was the last stop on the Underground Railroad because of our proximity to the community.
Okay.
Right, and so very important stop. Very many churches here in the city of Detroit were important depots on the Underground Railroad. There's actually a monument to the Underground Railroad at Hart Plaza, and over in Canada there is a reciprocal monument, receiving the runaway slaves. Now here's the interesting thing. I'm giving the tour one day, and it's predominantly white people on the bus. And then there's there are a few black people on the bus. And this one black guy, I'm talking about the Underground Railroad, going along, and he asked me, so was the Underground Railroad a real railroad? At which point, I just looked at him. I just looked at him and it was like, come on, man. Come on. Why do you... Pull me aside. Pull me aside and ask me that. Because now I'm having to explain to another brother what the Underground Railroad is and why it was not a literal railroad. And he asked us in front of a bunch of white people who I know, some of the white people on the bus, honestly, were probably like, oh, thank God he asked.
Oh, yeah.
I had no idea.
There were also others that were like, really?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. I seriously was like, just, oh my
shaking
gosh.
their head at like how bad shame
Oh
on
my
his
gosh.
parents or school. One of the two, right?
Is it
How?
possible? And forgive me if this sounds
Soul
laughably
Train.
ignorant. I don't know. If this sounds super ignorant, just virtually smack me. Is it possible that the Underground Railroad featured the occasional train? I don't know. Did it involve trains
I'm sure
all
it
along the
featured
way?
occasional
Okay.
train.
He's like, now
Okay.
I have to ask. Too funny.
Okay, so
All right.
what have you got, Jen? And how are we
All
going to
right,
connect it to
so-
the Confederacy?
No way. I have no idea. But mine is like a completely different story. It's not so funny. It's more sweet. Just random news. Apparently, okay, I'm not a big Justin Bieber fan, just to put that out there.
Neither is most of America.
Baby, oh,
Right. Nice.
Okay.
However, I have to kind of say this is cool. Apparently, he crashed, and he made some high school students their dream or very happy over this past weekend. He crashed the Chatsworth Charter High School prom on Saturday night, and he danced with a couple of the teenage girls there in attendance. I'm sure that they went home on cloud nine and will remember that forever. And I'm sure they're bragging to all their friends. Actually, there's a couple different posts on here who they're just kind of saying, well, did Justin Bieber show up to your prom? You're so lucky. You got to dance with him. All of that. Best prom ever. All things to Justin Bieber. So I just kind of thought it was a cool story.
Okay, so I can connect this to the Confederacy. Okay,
Oh, wow.
so runaway slaves were trying to get away from bounty hunters who were coming up to the north to take runaway slaves back to the south. And like I said, Detroit was the last stop on the Underground Railroad because of our proximity to Justin Bieber's home, Canada. So thank you, Justin Bieber. Thank you,
Wow.
Justin Bieber, for housing
Wow.
runaway slaves. There we go, connected to the Confederacy,
Well, that means
or at least running
you
from the
like him.
Confederacy.
You're giving more props to him.
I am. I'm actually. This is the only time I will ever clap for Justin
You
Bieber.
actually knew that Justin Bieber was from Canada.
Yeah, I know he's from
didn't
Canada.
know
Well,
that.
here's the thing.
Kara, wait
People.
a second. Back up. Kara, did you know that? Because I
No.
didn't know that.
No.
Okay,
I think
look.
somebody is
I-
a closet.
I
Justin
just found out.
Bieber fan.
I just found out yesterday that Nickelback is from Canada. I didn't know that.
What?
But yeah, they're from Canada, right? And so I was listening to another podcast, and I guess one of the guys, it's the Relevant
Now
podcast.
he has to
It's-
justify.
well, but it
how
was,
he
it was the
knows.
Relevant podcast, and this guy was challenged to have to listen to the entire Nickelback, the Nickelback
Album.
library,
Mm.
right? And it was all like, if he did it for like a week's solid, he's raising money for Charity Water, which is kind of a charity that digs wells in Africa, and so not unlike what Darren has been doing, Kara. But Justin Bieber, when he was kind of doing his crazy stuff and running afoul of the law and egging people's houses and speeding and getting tickets and all those kinds of things, there was a petition to send him back to Canada.
Ha.
So that's why I know that Justin Bieber is from Canada.
love
I
that
will
you
say,
had to justify
I had
your
to justify
manhood
it. I had to
right there.
justify it. I had to get my manhood back. But
However, I will say, hopefully, maybe he's gone back to just being a sweet teen.
hopefully,
whatever.
he's got a lot of
And not
tattoos
all of
though.
that,
He's got a
yeah.
lot of crazy
Well, I
tattoos.
guess he's not a teen anymore. I don't know how old
He's
he
not.
is.
He's not. So that's what makes this weird that he went to this prom. Is he's
Right.
like this. It's almost like a 30-year-old dude showing up at your prom.
Isn't he
It's
like
kinda weird.
21?
Like-
I don't know. He's 20.
I don't know. It's still too old to be at a high school prom.
But you know those high schoolers, they're his fan base. They are.
I don't care. Not happening.
I was.
What were we talking about? Age?
Yeah. I was just gonna say. It seems to me.
Guys.
It seems to me that Jen may be the only person it looks like on Earth who finds that story endearing, because I googled.
Whatever. You
While
thought it was cool when I told you.
While she's telling that
She's making
story,
stuff up.
while she's telling that story, I googled the phrase Justin Bieber prom, and here are a couple of the headlines of the stories it links to. From TMZ.
Awesome.
From TMZ, Justin Bieber bullied his way into a prom. From from Yahoo Music, Justin Bieber was not supposed to.
What
did 5 hours ago?
What did they say?
Yahoo Music says Justin Bieber was not supposed to, quote, interfere with our prom, school district says. LA Tribune says Justin Bieber crashed
underneath the bus. I mean, I'm just saying, I didn't throw your story under the bus. You're trying to discredit me? Like, what's going on here?
The only reason I Googled that phrase is because when you were saying it was so sweet, I was thinking, you know who doesn't think it's sweet? The boys at that high school.
That's right.
You're right. Nobody could like even get close to that. Like all these girls, these guys are like, you just ruined my prom.
Yep, I just spent all this money on this tux. I got her a corsage. My dad paid for a limo. This is
look
crazy.
who's here.
I want to say what that's called, but I guess I'm not officially allowed to say that on this podcast. But it is the official steal your girl. That's the official steal your girl, right? So Justin Bieber shows up at your prom. You spent all this money. And
I have to admit, I am a little bit fascinated with Justin Bieber. Not Justin Bieber the artist, or Justin Bieber the personality. I'm a little bit fascinated with Justin Bieber the idea, in that there is one jackass Canadian in the world, but only one. Everybody's so polite up there.
They're so nice.
They're so nice, except this one kid, and I guess his mom.
And we got him. Oh, you're not nice. You're not nice. Go to America. They're not nice there. Sorry, America. Sorry, he fits in better over there. Sorry. We love our Canadian. I think we've alienated our Southern listeners and our Canadian listeners. So really, all we have is the Midwest left. We have the Midwest and maybe
to Illinois
maybe
already.
California, maybe the West Coast, because they will accept anything. I could say that California is the stupidest part of the United States, and they're so liberal. They're like, that's your right to say that. You're right. We're gonna keep listening to your podcast every week. Keep listening to it. That's how liberal they are. Anyhow,
to be fair, Mississippi is easily the dumbest part of the United States. But go on. No, it's
they've been off the podcast for a while now, so I'm sure that they're not even listening anymore. So
the irony is it's the hardest state to spell. Okay.
It's what?
It's the hardest state to spell. That's the irony.
That is not true.
No, I would think like Arkansas. That's a tricky
Arkansas. I don't know. MISSISSIPPI.
I think Mississippi's got to be the easiest one to spell because we made it the easiest one to spell. MISSISSIPPI. I mean, we all know that one.
MISSISSIPPI. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, Massachusetts. That's just like I was like M-A. I give up.
CHUSETTS. Okay.
Oh, so this week we're going to be looking at. I guess there's this story of Kylie Jenner. Kylie Jenner is. It's weird. I guess she's got these full pouty lips or whatever, and so she's getting other.
She's had them injected.
She's had them injected with collagen. Okay, maybe you can explain her a little bit better than I can.
So she's one of the younger sisters to the Kardashian girls that everybody follows, and she's actually one of 2 children from Bruce and Kris Jenner, or was Jenner for Kris. I don't know if she kept the name now, but anyhow, so she's one of the 2 youngest, and it looks like has had something done to her, but she looks very pretty, but she's now, I guess, becoming a little more famous and kind of catching up with her sisters because she's now dating an older black guy that's 25. And because she's still young, I don't remember how old, but anyhow, there's this new challenge out where to get her full lip, she's kind of famous for that. These people are putting their lips in kind of like a bottle or suction, creating a suction, and then their lips are like doubling, but there's people who are having like busted blood vessels, and they're swollen and bleeding, and it's awful.
The fails are actually pretty darn funny to see.
Yeah, like, but they're really, like, they look like they hurt so bad. Like, it's so awful. And it's mostly like, it's one of the new trends. Like, it was the cinnamon challenge. It was, like, there's always something.
Planking. Anybody remember planking?
Yeah.
That was awesome.
But, like, at least that one wasn't as crazy. But anyhow, so somebody wrote an article based on all this stuff, and kind of linked it more to just like the pulp culture's fascination with African American culture, I guess, or black culture, whatever you want to call it. And somebody else kind of quoted, to sum it up, what if we loved black people as much as we loved black culture? So it's just kind of raising that awareness or question, because the article kind of attacks all these different trends. Why is it that we used to get insulted or whatever, have to defend our characteristics, our natural big hair, lips, big butt, curves, whatever. And then when they're never acceptable until a white girl kind of starts to embrace that, So you have, okay, now we're the era of butts, because of J-Lo and Kim. And so the person in the article kind of says, well, we kind of had that first. Why is it only popular, only acceptable when somebody kind of embraces what they've been doing for years? And so, again, taking it to the pulp culture side, that we love this, we love hip-hop, we love all these things, but then we don't show that same affection and affirmation for the culture and the people of that culture.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when I'm looking at that, I mean, I'm the only black guy on this podcast, but
well, Kara.
Yeah, and Jen's the only one who brought it up. Kara, you're honorary black person on this podcast today.
Oh, awesome!
So you speak for not just women but black women.
Yeah,
so,
I speak for everyone. I'm the voice.
Yeah, you think you do. But okay, so yeah, I mean, black culture, I think it's been co-opted for a while. I mean, yeah, like Elvis Presley, dancing, and doing moves that black culture had been doing for years, and it was said to be evil when black people were doing it and connected to spiritism, and it was weird, and all these weird pelvic thrusts that black people are doing, and then Elvis Presley does it, and obviously parents weren't ecstatic about Elvis Presley, but they were definitely much more accepting of him than they were of people within the black community doing that. And so you got that. And then you've got, like Jen was saying, you have big butts and big lips, and so those things actually, especially big butts and big lips, have been marginalized historically. If you go back, I majored in history. If you go back and you look at some of these old movies, with blackface, and you go on and you look at old political cartoons where black people are depicted, they've got these huge, giant, crazy lips that'll can like eat a buzzard egg whole, and these giant butts and things like that, and so. These things were made fun of and looked down upon, and now they're being adopted by starlets. They're being adopted by celebrities. Iggy Azalea, Britney Spears, Kylie Jenner, J-Lo, Kim Kardashian, and so how do we address this co-opting of black culture when it's still looked down upon within the African American culture itself. For instance, I was reading a story of a woman who was in online dating, and she's an African American woman, and by and large, white women are the ones that guys go after, and some of these white women will have big butts and big lips and big breasts and these kinds of things, and they're desirable. But a black woman could have those exact same qualities and be completely passed over. She's not the standard of beauty, and it goes, I think, beyond skin color. In that sense, with dating, it could just be skin color or ideas of what the culture might be because she's black and because I'm white or that kind of thing. I've heard that from people, not me being white, but people who have said that to me. So how do we address, whether just as a secular culture or as Christians within a secular culture, how do we address the co-opting of black culture when the people that culture is coming from and springing from, the indigenous culture, is still looked down upon in our country?
I actually think it reminds me of my grandma even. She was telling me one time that when she was younger, nobody tried to be tan. Now everybody tries to get tan. Like, it's things you don't even, like, I never would have thought that came from, like, a black culture kind of thing, you know? I never would have entered my mind. But it apparently does. So many things have changed in society to follow, but I think that it brings up some really good points. Like, I know some people that, I guess, like, I know people who have, when my grandma used to live in the South for a period, and I remember, like, it seemed so awkward because you'd have people who would be proud of, like, a Confederate flag, like, driving their truck, and they're listening to rap music and hip-hop, and you're like, that doesn't make sense. Like, those two things don't blend, you know? But there is a blending even to people who have maybe a disdain for where it came from. And so it is, people do separate them. And I think that that's what's sad. But on the other hand, like you were talking about that girl dating, it's interesting because I feel like all people and women can kind of get into that area too, because there's this standard of beauty. Like, I am a white woman who, you know, I am more curvy and I have a big butt in my opinion. And so I'm not the typical normal standard of beauty on the internet for a lot of people. And so that's okay, but I think that it also can, you know, fall into that where I'm not that skinny blonde, and that's okay. I don't want to be. But I could get passed over just as easily by the person looking for that standard. But I think that that's where we have to kind of just embrace who we are, accept it, and accept that anybody worth having in your life, it will accept you and your beauty and who you are. But as a culture, I think that we have an issue with this.
Yeah, I don't totally know how to approach this topic. I guess as I was reading that article.
But you're speaking for black women, Kara.
Oh,
you're already failing.
I'm afraid they're going to be disappointed in me. I don't know what to say.
Come on, sister. Come on.
Preach it.
Oh, gosh.
You got there first. I was about to say, preach it, sister, and then you did
right?
it.
I said it first, but even when you say it, Kent, it's racist. It's racist.
I don't even know.
You're right. You're right.
Word. Okay. So as I was reading that article, I was thinking, well, this writer is totally off base because I've never known anyone to associate these characteristics with black culture, and so clearly I'm wrong hearing you and Jen and Calvin talk, because obviously that's not the case. And you're right. Like, as you say that, you're right. I do remember seeing very old political cartoons with showing black characters with really large lips, really large butts, kind of just showing, really big hair, some very, I guess, stereotypical things. So I guess I'm kind of rethinking what I originally thought when I read the article. But I do think, I come from a family where, my brother, Calvin, he, we're Swedish and Irish, and he has really big lips that everyone is jealous of. And all the ladies in my family have, besides me, I somehow missed this gene, but they all have ample back porches. So I guess they're not necessarily things
Is that what white women call them? They call them back porches?
That's what I call it. I think there's lots of names for it.
They have ample back porches. Okay. Do they have a wraparound porch? Do they have a swing?
I feel
Some people do.
Is there a wraparound porch and everything? Can you sip lemonade? Can you at least put your lemonade on it?
No, you're getting weird. You're taking it a little too far.
The honky tonk badonkadonk. I thought that's what white people called it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, that's what the Confederates call it.
Boom. Well done. Full circle, ladies and gentlemen. Love it. Love it.
And I'm out.
All right. Goodness sakes. Okay, so back to what I was saying is basically like my impression of like the big lip thing, the big butt thing, like is just that, like Jen was saying, our standard of beauty changes. I mean, centuries ago, very obese women were the most attractive, and then you come to like when I was in high school in the early 90s, like it was like super, super skinny. Everyone was super skinny. And I think now we're coming around to maybe a little more full-figured. Certainly the anatomy of the breasts and the butt being really popular. But I think fitness as well. Like people, there's a big fitness craze. Everyone, I all the time get comments about, because I'm just naturally really thin. Get that compliments that I'm too skinny, I'm too lanky, and people are like, you should put on some weight. So I think it's kind of like people want like the athletic kind of look is more attractive now, and I don't know. To me it just changes a lot, and I guess I'd never really correlated that to being about Black culture.
Let me just say that I find it baffling. I guess I'm not sure when this podcast is going to be heard, but it is amazing to me that we are spending a podcast on, not spending a podcast, but that we are doing a podcast on April 27th, as we record this, 2015. We are talking about the face of somebody named Jenner, and it's Kylie. I did not, in a vacuum, if we had said we're going to talk about a Jenner's face today, I would not have expected it to be the totally normal-looking 17-year-old daughter of the proto-Jenner. I guess the question I would have is about cultural appropriation, which is the title that it gets applied to this so often. Is it our goal to keep the races distinct? I don't know the answer to that. I don't want to go too far down that road because I feel like I don't have any credibility in that, because unlike Kara, I do not speak for Black women or men or anything of the like. I just don't know. I don't know. I see and I have never heard an Iggy Azalea song. That's not the crew I travel with, I guess, but she has taken a lot of heat in the last year for trying to be a white girl from Australia doing hip-hop. So this might be ignorant, but I see that as a situation of where imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. I'm not offended by that. It doesn't resonate with me. And I don't, if I'm to be educated, do that. But I don't see it as a problem like a lot of liberals do.
Yeah, I guess when it comes to, the understanding of white culture is that white culture does not, in fact, exist. Which is why I always joke. I said, why is every white person I know all of a sudden on St. Patrick's Day just de facto Irish? And somebody once said on this podcast, it was a couple of years ago now, she said, just white people are just very starved for having their own culture. Because, I mean, when you look at it, white culture, it's everywhere, from the history books to the people you see on television. Everybody's predominantly white, which is why you have to have things like, the BET network, which is why, it drives me crazy when people say, well, what if I had the white entertainment network? It's like, you have the white entertainment network. It's called everything else, and so I think that you have these people, white people who are quote unquote starved. Yes, you people, you people are starved for culture, and so it is very, very easy then to appropriate or co-opt another culture and make it your own. Take the cool things from those cultures, and because there are now white faces representing those cool things, they are now able to actually be fully cool. They're only partially cool when they are within their indigenous culture, but then they are fully cool. At least that's my understanding. Fully cool once they are adopted by white people. Hence why the most popular rapper, one of the most popular rappers in the world is a white guy. Like, love him or hate him, and I love Eminem. I absolutely love Eminem's music, and I probably shouldn't. It's guilty pleasure, but whatever. He's fantastic. Don't want to take anything away from his skill, but the fact of the matter is, you have people like him that now hip-hop is safe for white suburban kids to buy, and they are the largest buying block of hip-hop music. It used to be, NWA was saying F the police out in Compton, straight out of Compton, and that was a huge deal, and everybody was saying rap is terrible, stay away from rap, and then Eminem steps onto the scene, everybody's like, what? Rap is amazing! Let's go to an Eminem concert. Parents and kids together, which is just kind of crazy to me.
I don't know about that. I think it got better before that. I mean, there's Will Smith, there's quite a few before Eminem hit the scene.
It seems to me, I think Jen is right in that what she just brought up. I think if anybody made rap or hip hop safe, quote unquote, if anybody out there made rap safe for public consumption, it was more Will Smith than Eminem, because Eminem may be white, but he is a student and an apprentice of Dr. Dre, and Will Smith came straight off a sitcom, and
yes, Will Smith was doing hip hop. Will Smith was doing hip hop before he did the sitcom one, but then he still did rap after that. Now he did safe family rap. He even addresses that in some of his later rap, because Eminem was singing some stuff about Will Smith, and Will Smith, one of the lyrics in one of his songs, Mr. Nice Guy, they said, does that bother you? And the lyric is, nope, Big Will is classy. Just made another 20 mil, walk right past E. And so it's just kind of like this cool thing. But Eminem is a white face saying the same things that NWA was saying. Okay, and so now you have people who originally were saying some bad stuff about him, like Tipper Gore was saying some stuff about him. The gay community was really up in arms about some of the stuff that he was saying, even though black rappers have been saying that stuff for years about gay people. They didn't say anything against them, but Eminem says it, and now we're gonna say something. But now it's gotten to the point where Eminem is someone that people can love, and Kid Rock does a fusion of rap and rock together, and you do have parents going to these concerts with their kids, not just unknowingly buying music for their kids or tickets for their kids and sending them off and dropping them off and going and doing something else and coming back to pick them up. They're saying, hey, Eminem's in town with Rihanna. Let's go see them at Ford Field together. This is going to be a family event, which is just crazy given the stuff that he's saying. And so it's this co-opting of black culture, but because it's a white face that's saying it, is now safe and okay, and it's pretend when white people say it, but it's real when black people are talking about it. It's okay for us to co-opt it and make it cool, but when black people say it, even though we stole it from them, they're still terrible and violent, even though Eminem's saying the same stuff. It's just kind of weird to me.
Well, okay.
And I don't want to make this about Eminem, obviously, but
I'm kind of glad you went there, and I'm going to disagree with you here. Okay?
That's okay. I'm okay with you being wrong. I'm okay with being wrong.
All right. First of all, I have to say, I do think that there's part I mean, I think that you brought up the kind of you stole it, it's ours idea, which I think that's out there, and I think that that's is part of, shall we say, the issue that a lot of people in the African American community have with Americans, white Americans in general, liking or taking these things. They view it as taking, and I do think that Ken's right too. There is some flattery in that, and there can be, but it can also be why, like this girl, why is it not okay until she did it? Why were big butts only cool when Kim and J-Lo did it? Like, I think there's some validity to that. And I like her statement, and in the article she even says at one point, if I can find it, I don't know if I'll have a chance here, but she actually says that that just goes to show you whatever, you're made out to hate about yourself, they're wanting out of jealousy and envy. And I think that she put that really well. And there is something valid to what she's saying. She actually closes the article. It's right here. I've got it. And she says that it just goes to show you that the same things they try to get you to hate about yourself, they covet, envy, and will want to steal in a few years. We've seen it with our features, jazz, rock and roll, and hip hop. What's next? LOL. So, I mean, okay, and that there's weight to that. With what you brought up on white people starving for culture, I mean, I don't think that that's true. I think there's a part of that you're missing, and maybe the African American culture in general misses this. That America isn't just white. Like, we're pretty much all European, right? Let's be honest. So the white part of America is all European. And within that, you have quite a few countries and cultures. And I think there's people who have, intermixed whatever, and there are different descents and there are different cultures that we do celebrate. Now, as somebody who has some of that but not all of that, I don't need to pick up somebody's culture. I'm not starved for it. But I actually really like it, involving myself with other cultures and learning about them. It's the same reason I love going to Europe and going and traveling and being in Germany versus Paris or whatever. And I think that to sum that up and minimize it to just what you said, I think isn't giving it full justice.
Well, here's where I minimize it, okay? Why I minimize it is because in the American culture, what you have is you do have a white culture that is starved for culture, and here's what happens. Like, hey, you know what? Jen, what's your background? Oh, I'm French, Irish, Italian, blah, blah, blah.
But I am.
Right, and so it's all these things, but these are generally, when I'm talking to people about what your background is, they'll say that, and they know really nothing much about their culture other than just saying that. If you ask a black person what we are, we're just black. We're just black. And so when white people talk about those things, they don't dive into those cultures. However, they will co-opt this black culture as if black culture is just monolithic. We are one thing, but you guys are multiple things of things you don't dive into.
You're multiple things too. But well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different areas in Africa and different subcultures.
Right.
Now,
but here we're just considered black culture.
Okay, and here's what I think. I've met other African Americans that are not considered African Americans, right? They're like they're like, no, I'm from this country, and they know their lineage. I think the sad part, and I'm going to use my name here, the travesty is that because of slavery, you have a lot of African Americans who don't know the exact descent of their lineage and their culture.
Okay, so
you don't have a point of reference.
So Kara, let's bring you guys in because we're having this conversation here amongst ourselves. I'm doing this as a test. Kent, what is your ethnic background?
I was going to bring that up.
Cultural background.
If you go back far enough, you're going to find my ancestors from Scotland and France and England. I know that because I looked it up, and my most recent ancestor that I could find arrived on the east coast of America in 1717. That was the last arrival of my family, so we're coming up on 300 years. So that's why it's baffling to me anytime somebody says, an American or somebody says that I'm German or I'm French, and it's like, no, I don't feel that. I don't relate to that at all. I'm American, as were my parents and grandparents, and you have to get to a whole lot of greats before we're from anywhere but here.
Okay.
So I feel
Kara,
very American.
How about yourself?
Yeah, go ahead.
Kara, how about you?
Yeah, I'm my ancestors did come here a little more recently. I'm third generation Swedish and Irish. My dad's parents sorry.
Asher's having a temper tantrum over there. That's cool.
Hold on one second.
Let me just fill the gap here by saying that if there were to be a spin-off from this podcast and Jen were to host it, it should definitely be called The Travesty.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it's not, like, I think, Ken, you're right. Like, you're American, but that doesn't mean that if you decided you wanted to learn about your older culture, that would be, you being starved for culture. I don't think that it's, I think we have an issue with people wanting to pick up, hip-hop and this and that. I think that the point's valid, but to minimize it just that everybody else is culturally starved, I don't think is fair either.
I just do. Most of the white people that I talk to, I'm sorry, Kent, I like how honest you were. You're like, you have to go back way, way far. And I think that's exactly how far back some of these people are going.
But then Kara's third generation. That's not far.
Kara's third generation
There's a lot
as well.
of people
Okay,
like that.
so Kara, you're third generation Swedish.
And Irish, yes.
And Irish. Okay, so how much do you dive into your Swedish and Irish heritage on a daily basis?
Okay, I will be completely honest. I did not know that I was Swedish until about 3 years ago because I'm estranged from my biological dad's family, and I didn't know them very well, so I found out, and since then I have learned a lot and enjoy learning a lot, and learning mostly it's about recipes. All the Swedish.
Mostly it's about recipes. Okay.
Yes.
Like the food connects you.
I feel like this is where everybody's the same, like black, white, whatever. A lot of Europeans came over here ready to throw away and discard their culture because they were running away from oppression or whatever. They were coming to something new. So they came with this idea of finding new identity. And then you have...
No, they were escaping oppression, but they were the way that America was set up, the way that everybody had their little enclaves, they definitely did not move away from their culture. They had a place where they were recreating their culture.
They did not want to adhere to the fact that they were English by any means.
I have seen Gangs of New York, and that is just not true. No, it's
even when we had the Revolutionary War, many of our people still considered themselves British. They still considered themselves British citizens and British. As a matter of fact, there was actually no unified plan when we first started. So you don't think
there was any movement in which you were like, you're American, you're not this or that?
Well, that was a question at the beginning of the Revolutionary War, and so all of that. I don't want to talk about the Revolutionary War. I want to talk about now. So the point I was trying to make is, hey, Kent's saying I have to go back a couple hundred years. Kara's saying, hey, you know what? I got to go. I'm third generation. Okay. Most people, when it comes to white people, I'm sorry, they have really no connection to where they came from. Okay, and so because
what is generation
So then you have like a Hispanic culture, you have Asian culture, and you have black culture, and we are these monolithic things, right? Because we're this one thing, and so we will find white culture will pick and choose really cool things from each of those cultures. Hey, you know what? Let's try salsa dancing. Hey, that's something from, we're not going to actually go out and hang, with Mexican people, but we will take this from their culture. Hey, you know what? We like hip-hop music. We don't really like the environment that came out of. We're going to lock our doors when we go to the hood, but we'll take the rap music and we'll let Eminem sing it, and that's cool. Hey, you know what? I love kung fu movies. I'm gonna watch a kung fu movie, or I'm gonna have Quentin Tarantino film a kung fu movie with a white heroine. Okay, and so you've got these things that are being co-opted by white culture because I think there is a lack of actual understanding of. There's no monolithic white culture other than we own everything. We are the face of everything. We are the standard of beauty, whereas these other cultures have these vibrant things from them. You like, for instance, you're not gonna meet a lot of black vegans. You're just not. I mean, sorry, there's not a lot of us. Right downstairs in my building, there is Detroit Vegan Soul. It is a vegan soul food restaurant. Okay, now that's soul food for white people. Now, they are black people who run the restaurant, but it's an idea that they know could sell, and they're doing very, very well. I mean, these are just things that are.
I think you're blinded here, and this is what I mean. Like at the end of the day, there's a need for African Americans to hold on to their culture because they were brought here away from it, right? And then there's the, the other side, the Europeans who maybe they didn't hold on or they let go of theirs or whatever, and everybody's looking to hold on to whatever their roots are. Most of us have all been here for generations.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all the same there. But at the same time, the other side of hers, and I know we're going long here, so I'll say this quickly, but the other side where her article has weight, but then the other side of it is it also can be offensive. And, on the other hand, though I agree with her, I do agree with her, and I don't disagree that this, at least in pulp culture, that we're definitely doing this and we see it everywhere. But on the other hand of her article is where the rubber kind of meets the road of whatever white culture is, it also marginalizes people within it as well. And what I mean by that is, as a woman who has a big butt and who likes black men, am I trying to do that? I don't think I am. So, it also can be saying, oh, that's just because of this, and you're just trying to get what we have. And because she's kind of saying that. She is kind of saying that. And there's that side of it that I'm like, no, I'm really not. Like, I don't fit in to the size 2 blonde category either, and I just happen to fit in here. And that works really well for me. And I'm not really trying to get a white man or a black man. I'm trying to get a good man. And I don't really care if he's white or black. And why does that make me bad? Or me the enemy? Because I would be the enemy in that story too. So I feel like that's also got to be dealt with.
If I say, here, preach it, sister, would that be racist?
Yes.
Okay.
Anytime you say that, Kent,
cut it out. Cut it out. Okay.
Ooh, preach it, sister.
Right, because it's so little, it's so marginal on can only black women have big lips, can only black women have a big butt. Now, some of those people she referenced had surgery and are stealing it, but
I don't think it's a thing of only they can have those, but those were things that black culture were told were bad for years, and now it's cool because white people are doing it.
I was told for years my big butt was bad too, so I feel like I should fit in that category then.
Well, now it's a cool thing. It's a cool thing. When you were younger, it wasn't cool, but now it's cool. And so it's like, all right,
Kara, you were gonna say something.
I did. I just wanted to say, I just kind of, I guess, round us back to the article is, I don't think the problem isn't taking different pieces from different cultures and implementing them into your life, and I think that's kind of awesome. That's kind of what makes us America, is we're a melting pot, and we have lots of cultures, and it's fun to explore cultures you don't know, but we do have to be careful, like Calvin's saying, that to not just take the good things that you like and ignore the things that make us uncomfortable. And I mean, it was like, it just made me think of, like, we went on a cruise once and we stopped at some of the Caribbean islands, and they have all these beautiful touristy areas. Like St. Martin is so luxurious and wonderful, but like on the other side of the resort is like everyone's super poor and living in dirt huts, and so like you get, like the two kind of, you're like taking what you like about it and like that it's beautiful and on the ocean, and you're not taking the whole truth. If it's actually people that are really suffering here, and it's probably insulting for me to come here and drink my pina coladas on the beach when there's a baby that like may starve to death just a mile away. And so I think it's just kind of, that was just basically an analogy of you gotta look at the whole picture too. And so I think it's awesome that people are interested in Black culture that maybe had just kind of written it off before, but I think it's good to learn everything about it, not just the things you like.
I think that that's a really well put point, Kara, because it is important for us to look at the needs and the good and the bad and the whole. I completely agree with that.
All right, I think we will we'll land the plane there. And,
Such a travesty.
Such a travesty. This is such a travesty. Signing off. No. So we'll land the plane there. And thank you all for your thoughts. Good thoughts. I liked. How did you guys feel about having the little slices in there?